Good evening. I now declare the meeting open and welcome you to this month's meeting of Council. The recording of this Council meeting will be available to the public on Council's website, for a minimum period of 6 months. In accordance with Council policy, I will now ask the staff to confirm that the recording has commenced.
Yes, it has, ma'am.
So I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the South East Nation, the Malakadee people of the Yuin River and the Lilaquani people of the Far South. We recognise their continuing connection to land, water and culture. We pay respect to their elders past and present. In attendance tonight we have Deputy Mayor Thorpe, we have Councillor Armstrong, Councillor Jessup, Councillor Temby, Councillor Burgess, Councillor Camber-Smith, Councillor O'Neill and Councillor Gibson. Acting General Manager, can you please introduce your staff?
Thank you. Executive staff here tonight. We have Matthew Grimsey, Director of Governance, Strategy and Sustainable Development, Patty Johnson, Director of People and Corporate Services, Lyle Ground, Acting Director of Community Wellbeing, and Sue McCarter, Acting Director of Infrastructure, Climate and Environmental Services. We also have our support staff, Acting Manager of ICT, Callan Finch, Kelly Davis, our Media and Communications Coordinator, and Sandy Rustell, Executive Assistant.
Thank you. 2.1, apologies, we have none. 2.2, leave of absence, nil. And 2.3, absent, nil. Councillors, do I have anyone to declare an interest in any of tonight's agenda items?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Confirmation of minutes. 4.012/23. The recommendation is, do I have a councillor to move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of Council, Wednesday 29th of November 2023, as circulated, be confirmed? Councillor Armstrong and seconded Councillor Temby. Do any councillors wish to make any changes? Well, I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors, and the motion is carried. 5, legislative items. Are there any legislative items?
No.
Urgent matters?
One urgent matter tonight in closed council.
In closed council, thank you. Yep. Oh, I need to read. Yep. Just the. Urgent matters. In accordance with Regulation 8-6 of the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulations 2015, the General Manager's reports that the matter was not included on the agenda for the meeting as the issue was only raised recently and missed the formal collation of the distribution of the Council agenda. The matter is urgent because of a formal legal investigation that is currently underway, and qualified advice is provided for councillors by the way of a report to council. And that bit, the recommendation, 6.005/23, pursuant to Regulation 8-6 of the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulations 2015, the urgent matter of personnel matter to be listed on the agenda in closed council for discussion as at agenda item 19.066/23. Thank you. Public participation time. We've got some questions that were taken on notice.
Sorry, Mayor, don't we need to move and second?
Oh, do we have to move and second that? Recommendation. Sorry about that. Sandy? Okay, do I have someone to move that we bring that in? Councillor Jessup and Councillor O'Neill. And all those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors. Sorry about that, Sandy.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have the questions that were taken on notice and the answers are on our website. And we went through from the gallery. So from the gallery, do we have anyone that would like to ask a question from the gallery? Yes, you can come forward.
Hello, through you, Caleb from Dover.
Thank you.
What I'm about to say has a potential to get some individuals or departments in trouble, and that's not my intent. It's just I would like to have a solution, that's all. So in the last 3 months, I've been invited to provide documentation to council, quite a lot of documentation. Now, in trying to do so, I've come across a lot of difficulties in getting that documentation across. So I've emailed the inquiries email, sent attachments, sent links to attachments through Google Drive and various cloud storage solutions, embedded links in PDF documents and stuff like that, and have been given advice that conflicts all of that. It's quite annoying, and what I've had to adopt as a method is I have to do all of the above and also get my personnel to remind me within 24 or 48 hours to follow up with council as to the whereabouts of said documents and correspondence. So the question I ask is, what is council's official position on how documentation is to be transferred from the end user to council? And 2, given the difficulties regarding information management, is this an area that will be examined in the new year?
Thank you, Caleb. I had made note, and I passed on your query today as well. Can I take that on notice and come back to you,
Thank you.
with an answer for that, if that's okay?
Yes.
I'll get back to you on that.
Thank
Thank you. Thanks, Caleb. Have you got that? Did you get that, Sandy? Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Caleb.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions from? Yes, come forward, please.
Liz Smith, Signet.
Thank you.
This is following on from the response that I got at the last council meeting regarding the Transformer project.
Yes.
So following on from the response to my questions at the November meeting, it appeared that the councillors had given in-principle support to Dark Labs Transformer project, and that staff are going to provide a costing for time that would be put into supporting grant applications for further funding to enable the project to progress. Am I correct in this interpretation? And if so, were councillors provided with information about where grant funding might be sought and how much is needed?
Thank you. I can answer that. Any of these grants that this one would be likely to fall under haven't come out yet. So there's been no work done on how much it would cost, because the grants aren't out at the moment. So it still sits there that when the grant comes out, we'll have another look at that and see whether the transformer falls into that category. But we haven't done any work on it at present.
So there's no indication of how much funding might be needed?
No, no.
And the second part of the question is, could other organisations that have received funding for a large project that is proposed to benefit the Huon Valley, such as the restoration of the Cartila, also apply to the council for similar support in grant writing?
Well, they could all put in a submission to us to look at it, but that's no different than what's happened with the transformer
Okay, thank you. I didn't
Thank you.
understand
Yeah.
that bit of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do I have any others? No? Okay. (8.2). Do we have any deputations? Acting General Manager. No?
We do not.
No petitions?
No.
Planning Authority reports? Are there any planning matters?
No.
Thank you. General reports. Are there any councillors tabling their activities tonight?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Would anyone like to speak to anything off their... yes, Councillor Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to congratulate and mention the people of Geeston and the Keep Australia Beautiful Tasmania Sustainable Towns competition this year. We entered again this year, and we received 9 certificates of excellence, and we won 1 category. So I'll just read through them if that's okay. For excellence, the Geeston Community Centre, Ewan and Kingston FM, Geeston Volunteer Fire Brigade, JV Drysdale Engineers, Engineers Reuse Shop. That's what it's done. He's created a reuse shop. Geeston Community Workshop, Geeston Town Hall and Visitor Centre, Heritage Park, which goes to the Ewan Valley Council. I brought that certificate with me so you can display that proudly somewhere. And Geeston Art Show and Geeston Rail Trail. And we won the overall appearance and amenities. We've got a lovely little trophy in there which I can share with you after the meeting.
Oh,
And it's all down to the dedicated volunteers that we have in Geeston.
thank you
well
very
done.
much. Well done to everyone. Thank you. Anyone else like to? Yes, Councillor Thorpe?
I'd just like to recognise that last month was Remembrance Day, and there was a number of Remembrance Day services across the Huon which are entirely run by volunteers. I was able to attend the Huonville Remembrance Day service, which was coordinated by Luella Jury and a number of volunteers to pull off an incredible event. And then also further attend at the annual luncheon at the Esperance RSL Club, and I know Councillor Gibson was also at that event. So just wanted to say thank you to the volunteers across the Huon that pulled off those important services, and recognise the important time to our former and current service men and women across the Huon, that, you know, we recognise them here at Council as well.
Thank you very much. Do we have anyone else? No? Okay. 11.012/23. Do I have a councillor to move a motion that the general reports and minutes for the period 1 to 30th of November 23 be received and noted? Councillor Armstrong, seconded Councillor Thorpe. Do you wish to speak to anything within those, Councillor Armstrong? Do I have anyone else that's to say anything? Yes, Councillor Campbell-Smith.
I'd just like to have an update, please, on the LPS process and the expected process that will occur after the TPC has reported in the first quarter of next year.
Can I pass that through you, Acting General Manager, to the Director?
Through you, Mayor, the LPS hearings have 3 days expected to go towards the end of February. Following that, we will be expecting the Commission report towards the end of March. That's when it's expected at the moment. We are anticipating that there will be a number of substantial modifications, which means that then we will have to prepare those and place the scheme, the draft LPS out for some further exhibition period, which will be available for further representations and further hearing provisions.
So you have to put the entire schedule back on exhibition, not just the ones that have been altered.
I believe it's just the ones that are altered. We
Okay.
certainly won't be going back revisiting what they've already decided
Well, that's
upon.
what
It's the modifications which they'll be
Okay,
making decision on.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, do I have any other? No? Do you wish to close, councillor? Yep. Okay, I'll put that. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors, and the motion is carried. Workshops. Acting General Manager, would you like to advise of the workshops held, please?
Thank you. Yes, we had one workshop held on the 6th of December, which was regarding our curbside waste collection service. It was an opportunity for councillors to provide input into the governance and administration of the curbside waste service. We discussed the current situation and context, options for managing existing customers, options for managing route extensions, and options for residents not on curbside, in preparation for looking what our opportunities would be for the years ahead.
Thank you. Okay, 13.1, questions taken on notice. The answers, the responses have been included on the website and are in the minutes. 13.2, questions given on notice. There was none given on notice tonight. 13.3, questions without notice. Councillors, are there any questions without notice? Yes, Councillor Thorpe.
I just have a question. I've been engaged with a few concerned residents who have recently visited the Southbridge Waste Transfer Station and the second-hand shop there, which is run by some incredible staff and volunteers. They've raised concerns around their welfare, actually, working in this facility during hot days, which has become relevant the last few weeks. As you'd know, we have a duty of care of staff and volunteers working in conditions that are out of control, like hot weather. And to my knowledge, there are no rules for stand down of staff during these extreme heat scenarios solely. But I could be wrong. And I'm just curious to see if any staff or volunteers at this relevant facility have expressed concern of working in extreme heat, and what is Council's plan to limit the risks to health and safety of our staff and volunteers in these scenarios, considering we're expecting quite a hot summer this time around.
Thank you for that. I had someone raise that with me as well. Can I pass that through to you, Acting General Manager?
I'll pass it through to the Director, to Lyle, to answer, but we're certainly aware of it and have been working with staff for quite some time on a range of amenity issues at Southbridge and the waste transfer station. Done a pretty significant amount of capital works to improve the situation down there, and heating and cooling is on our agenda and actively being explored at the moment. But Lyle may have something more to add.
Yeah, thanks for the question, and through you, Mayor. It is yes, it's we're aware of it, and it's budgeted for in this financial year. One of the changes we have made is to widen the entrance to allow for better airflow through the building. But I will say that it is a challenging structure. It's an uninsulated shed, which makes sort of obvious solutions sometimes ineffective. So we're busy exploring that. But in the interim, we have a standing order, as we do with all our centres, is that if staff raise a concern around health and well-being, we'll take any step we need to obviously address that, and that can include closing it down for the day. Some might have seen we've done that with the pool. When we have works going on there, that's going to impact our patrons. So that is and we have regular meetings with the team down there, and we discuss this and the progress in terms of what we're doing in that space.
Thank you for that answer. Councillor Burgess, yes?
Yeah, my question's about our financial reporting. I noticed in the annual report last night on page 92 in the notes, note number 9.4, cash at bank on hand, that at one particular time there's $1.7 million sitting in the bank. I'm just wondering, do we have a policy on when that number builds up? Is it actually invested for a period of time to actually earn some more interest than what it would be doing just sitting in the bank?
Can I pass that through to the Director? Thank you.
Yes, we do. We have an investment strategy in terms of that we follow for our investments, and that's based on a percentage for certain risks of our investments as well. So we make sure that we don't have too many risks in terms of where we invest our cash. And you'll see that there's in the financial statements, there's a small amount in the operating account, which is around that 1 million, 1.5 million, and there's about 15, 16 million in investments. That 15 or 16 million is what we invest in other term deposits, and they're for variety of timings, depending on what we're expecting to go out the door per our long-term financial plan and what's coming up in the short term. So recently we just had an amount of money that we put out for 180 days, and that aligns quite nicely with when we're expected to receive some more grant funding, or when there's some capital works expenditure that's to go out the door at that time.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Campbell-Smith?
Yeah, I noticed that there's a new grant out on for active transport, and I just wondered, I know it's early days, but if council might consider applying for a grant for footpath or walkway or cycle path, given that we've had a lot of requests for such connectivity, and also whether we put in any sort of application to the open spaces grant that recently has been announced, and if we were just unsuccessful on that.
I can pass that through, but I should imagine I have to take that on notice because we'd have to look at it, but I could pass it through.
I think we look at all grants, and obviously we'd need to, before applying for a grant, we need to consider a project, consider the full life cycle cost of it. Obviously we have many needs and desires around the valley, and we just need to understand the ongoing operating costs, not just the capital costs that we can get secured through a grant. But absolutely, we're aware, of all grants that come through. We look at them, and we'll bring them forward with a recommendation to go for it, or not, as the case may be. Yeah.
Yes, Councillor Armstrong?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, and possibly through Acting General Manager. On the 9th of November, I received a letter from a resident of Cygnet, and there has been a response from council to him. I'm not sure that it's adequate, and I'm not sure if we can actually help with this, but it pretty much says that he has been living in his current home since 1982, and he's looked after the Crown land and road verges ever since that. In the early days, he mentions that the Cygnet Council did actually run the slasher over the Northern Road verge and the grass at the end of the point once per summer, but after he retired, the job has fallen back to him. He and some neighbours have been hand mowing this whole area at Crooked Tree, but it's just mounted now to the northern edge of Henleys Road and a small strip to the point itself. So he's been maintaining this area for 30 years. His concerns and reasons for maintaining the area include neatness, presentation for users, fire mitigation for grass that gets tall and dry, rubbish, discouraging the build-up of glass bottles and glass debris native species. He's removed the macro carpers, and together with the Cygnet Landcare Group have planted, mulched and maintained a large native planting, weed control, beach litter removal, and dealing with the profusion of free campers over summer, not an issue since COVID. He's kept the area free of canary broom, which threatened to overtake the waterside. He now mows, often north, south and west, weeds, and keeps exotic and noxious species at bay. His dilemma is he's now ageing, he's got severe osteoarthritis of a hip joint, and his initial request for assistance in 85 with the Cygnet Council culminated in a gentleman's agreement. Now, this has been a very polite letter, and it was a polite response to him, more or less saying that it's not council's responsibility, which it isn't. However, people use this area, the Cygnet residents use this area. They use it for dog walking, they use it for recreation, they use it for parking. This man's been looking after this for 30 years. Is there a possibility? He's now paying. He's paying someone now to maintain this. He shouldn't have to pay for this, and he shouldn't have to maintain it. Is there a possibility that council can help this scenario? It's land that isn't council owned, but Cygnet residents are using it. It shouldn't be left up to someone to maintain it for this long and not have any assistance. So I'm not sure if we can do anything about this, but I thought this would be a good time to bring up the topic and perhaps have a discussion about it.
Well, we'd probably have to take it on notice, because
Yes.
we'd have to have a look at
Yes.
who owned the land and
Yeah.
and everything. Is that correct? Yep.
That's right. I mean,
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
look demands on services. You know, there's all ranges of them, and certainly that sounds like a case where he's been doing a fantastic job.
Well,
and
he
I'm sure it's appreciated by the community.
Well, he likes the area. He hasn't made a big
Yeah.
deal of it. It was a very cordial, polite letter.
Yep.
His response from council was also polite, but saying that it's not their property, so he would
Yep.
need to contact the appropriate
Yep.
department. But I actually don't think that he should. I think that as council, we probably should give him a hand. He's been looking after it for 30 years. That saved us a lot of money.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, what we'll
So
what we'll need
we
to
can,
do-
I can forward that to you
Yeah.
or to Matthew or whoever needs it. And if we could help him out, that'd be great.
Well, we'll need to look at it and come
Yeah.
back to councillors
Sure.
and say this is what it looks like, what assistance would look like, because
Yeah.
obviously it'll be unbudgeted, whatever
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
do.
of course.
So we
Of
agree
course.
to the direction, and then we can
Yeah.
update that correspondence with
He's
you.
he's not asking for, landscaping. He's just asking for grass to be cut down effectively. So if we could do that, that'd be great. So I'll forward this on to you
Thank
or
you.
you or
Thank
whoever
you.
needs it
Just-
later,
yeah,
and we can
just
talk
forward
about it.
it.
Thank
That'd
you.
be lovely.
Thanks.
Okay, do I have any other? No? Okay, 13.4, councillors' notice of motion. There was no notices of motion for tonight's meeting. Okay. Thank you. Agenda number 14.001/23, appointment of municipal emergency coordinator. I refer the councillors to the recommendation of this report. The report on the appointment of a municipal emergency coordinator for the municipal area be received and noted. Hannah Bowling be nominated for the position of municipal emergency coordinator for the municipal area for a period of 5 years in accordance with the Emergency Management Act 2006. Do I have a councillor to move the motion, please? Councillor Camber-Smith and a seconder, Councillor Burgess. Councillor Camber-Smith, would you like to speak to this motion?
Only very briefly, Hannah actually came along to the bushfire awareness, the very successful bushfire awareness, for which I'm extremely thankful for the support of council, particularly Angela and and Hannah. She spoke extremely well, and she seems to be entirely over the subject. So,
Yeah.
sounds like a very good appointment.
Thank you very much. Anyone else got anything to say for that? No? Yep. Do you want anything else, Councillor Camber-Smith? No? All right, I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors, and the motion was carried. Congratulations, Hannah. Agenda number 15.043/23, Future of Local Government Review. I refer the councillors to the recommendation of this report. Do I have a councillor to move the motion? Councillor Temby and Councillor Jessup. Councillor Temby, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Any, yes, Councillor Gibson?
I was wondering if it was possible to add one more bullet point, something along the lines of agreeing how dispersed rural population will not be subsumed by the larger urban population. It's sort of covered a little bit in. There's a point. The different areas, but I think that's quite a key point to make.
Green.
I'm not sure if subsume's the right word.
Yeah.
Mayor, I think the third dot point, agreeing to how potential for loss of identity and local representation will be addressed? Does
I
that
don't-
need
not quite-
strengthening,
That was the
or?
point that I thought it almost did, but I don't think it covers the fact that a council is beholden to the bigger population and, we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
The clash of a rural
Yeah.
council
Yeah.
and a very urban, there's a big population over there. and
Can we
we're
just
quite
change the
small.
wording in that one, or do you want
Sure,
yeah,
if
another
you want.
dot point?
I don't mind.
Is there
I just
something
think
we
it should
can
be
add
covered.
to it? Green to,
The population disparity or something, how the population disparity between rural and urban will be managed. That would be all right.
And something maybe at the end of that, Mayor, something like agreeing to how potential for loss of identity and local representation will be addressed, and how, the unique urban-rural mix will be protected, or something like that. Is that sort of what you're saying?
No,
Okay.
I mean that's sort of part of it, but it's how the very different rural dispersed population and the dense urban population, how that separation, how that will be managed in terms of.
so,
Equitable
Yeah,
distribution
equid- yes,
of
well,
attention and funding is what
Yeah,
you...
that's the sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, a rural council where it's all dispersed, they know how to share things out. But
If I may,
yeah, no, you can.
I think for me it's actually inherent within that third dot point, but also within the second dot point, working out the scope. There's many items, and I think that one is foremost inherent in that. And obviously, if councillors want to call that out and make a specific note of it here, then that's your prerogative. But I think there is a whole range of issues just like that when we sit down with these other councils, items like that will come out and be agreed to within the scope, and I suspect the list will be much longer than just that one. It'll be multifaceted. So that would be my recommendation, but you may have a different view of whether you want to pick on that one in particular.
Yes. Yes.
You could simply add a little bit to the end of point 3, just saying agree to how the potential for loss of identity and local representation will be addressed, including the differences between the rural and urban populations or something. Just add a short phrase.
Yep, including difference of
Or something of that nature.
I think it's the elephant in the room.
rural and urban population. So, dot point 3 would read, agreeing to how the potential for loss of identity, no, is it that one? Yeah. And local representation will be addressed, including the differences between rural and dispersed population of rural and urban population. Is that okay? Yeah. So that is just a word. Okay.
So if
I invite if Councillor Jessup wants to add anything.
while we're wordsmithing,
Yep.
could I suggest that point 2 would be better to read, agree to the terms and scope of a cost benefit evaluation.
Okay.
So
all right.
while we're just fiddling
Yep.
with words, yep.
Yep, put that in there. Thank
Or
you.
just change
Yep.
it around. Yep.
Yes, councillor.
But I'm happy to accept that.
Yep,
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 we're-
thank you.
I'd also like to suggest an amendment. It's something I mentioned at the last council meeting. I think it's also important to have a meeting between the 3 councils, but also would like to request that the General Manager and Mayor lead a conversation with the STCA in regards to this as well, considering what other council areas across the country have done during these types of reviews, what regional council authorities can actually play, I think is
So that
underestimated.
would be a part C, I think, maybe, Tony? Are you proposing part C that the Mayor and General Manager...
The Mayor and General Manager convey a conversation at the next STCA meeting
do you accept that part C to?
Yes, that's excellent. So those three changes, so dot point 2, agreeing to the terms of a cost-benefit evaluation
Terms and scope.
and
of a-
scope. It does say scope at the end.
Yeah,
bring-
but
bring-
putting-
bring that into the middle.
Bring
there.
that in before
Yeah.
the cost.
It's just grammar, small problem.
Yeah.
And then the next point, including the differences between dispersed rural and urban population.
Yeah.
And point 3, General Manager and Mayor leads a conversation with
The STCA.
STCA.
Tasmanian councils.
And we
I
can make-
agree.
Yep.
I
You happy
Agree,
with
yep.
that, Matthew? Do we have to have an amendment for that, though? Don't we? They've accepted? All right. Okay. Yep. All right. Thank you for that. Do we have any other conversation on this? No? Okay. Yeah.
Do we have any idea of how long or when this might happen? Do we? Have you had
through
any
you, Jane. Yep.
feelers out there yet?
Yep.
So I have had a discussion with the acting general manager of Derwent Valley and the general manager at Kingborough Council. Both understand where we're coming from, and the mayor has also spoken with their respective mayors. So in speaking with the general managers, we agreed that we need to get together and effectively put the scope and the terms together, something to say yes to, so that we can kick this off, and we'll be looking to give you an update on when we're planning to commence in January. So we need to move on it quickly, because there's a lot of work that wasn't done in the review that we need to do in order to inform our response. So, yep.
Okay. So do you like to close, Councillor Temby?
That's fine, thank you.
Okay. Well, I'll put that motion. All in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors, and motion is carried. Agenda number 16.022/23, financial report. I refer councillors to the recommendation of this report, that the report of the financial performance of the council for the period 1 July to 30th of November be received and noted. Do I have a councillor to move the motion? Councillor Armstrong, seconder. Councillor Temby. Councillor Armstrong, do you wish to speak to this? Do any other councillors wish to speak to this? Yes, councillor.
I just have one question. Again, it's about term deposits, which seems to be a trend with these reports over the last few meetings. But I noticed there's quite a number and quite a number of term deposits going to be maturing early next year, and that we have a policy guideline to sort of advise on that process. I'm just wondering if there's any environmental or social guidelines within that policy that actually consider where we're using these investments for.
Did we ask? I thought you had two. Thanks. Can I pass that through to the director? Thanks, Patty.
Through the Mayor, yes, there are those sort of considerations when we're looking at reinvesting those funds. And it comes down to the choice of financial institutions that we use and their policy statements on those issues, along with obviously the risk profile of them and the nature of the timing that we're going to be reinvesting, and of course the return rate on those investments. And that's all detailed in the policy.
Can I just add to that Councillor Canberra-Smith's previous question was effectively around ethical, that's the word I'm grasping for, ethical investing. And the response at the time was when we have a director appointed, we can look at that. So we haven't yet, we've got an existing position, but I still absolutely believe that we have an opportunity to look at that further. So I think that'll be something for the new year to come and to look at if we can update that position. So yeah, anything more you wanted to say on that one?
No, I just wondered when the policy was due for review, but I guess we can bring it forward at whenever
we don't have to wait for that if it's something that councils want to look at, and I do think it's a good worthwhile opportunity. Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
So you're happy with that? Do I have any other questions? Do you wish to close, councillor Armstrong? No. Okay. Well, I put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors. The motion is carried. Agenda number 18.008/23. The Port George Sports and Aquatic Centre new membership fees and extended operating hours. I need to note that is not meant to be listed, the extended operating hours. We're just dealing with fees, so sorry about that. Okay, I refer the councillors to the recommendation of this report. Do I have a councillor to move a motion? Councillor Thorpe, a seconder. Councillor O'Neill. Councillor Thorpe, do you wish to speak to this one? No? Does anyone else like to speak to this? Yes? Yes. Councillor O'Neill.
Yep, thank you, Mayor. I just want to clarify, it's got a join fee there for $75.
Yep.
I assume that's an extra $3 fee for the first month, is that correct?
I'll pass that through to the acting director, if I may, please.
That is correct, yep. So that will be the first charge that goes off, and then going forward from that, it'll be the lower amount on a monthly basis.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Gibson.
I was talking to the electrician I'm working with, and he drove from Hobart to come to our open pool, and he loves the pool here. I just wondered how these fees compare to other pools. Just are we pitching it at about the right same level, or much cheaper, or?
Can I pass that through to you, Lyle, please?
Sure. So these fees were initially were pitched in the endorsed aquatic facility strategy. What we did a bit of a modelling exercise when we were looking at them, just to sort of error check and make sure we are doing what you've asked for. And one of those was benchmarking against similar facilities in the state. And yes, these fees are there. Our existing fees, as they stand, are significantly undercharging, and also they're just a bit chaotic because there's so many different options, and they're all pay as you use rather than membership based. So yes, that was part of it, and yes, they are in line with our similar sister facilities.
Do I have any other questions? No? Okay. Well, I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors. And the motion was carried. Wow, 19.063/23. We're about to move into closed council. So I'd like to thank those in the gallery tonight for attending and those for watching at home. The next ordinary meeting of council is on Wednesday the 31st of January 2024 at 6 p.m. And we'd like to take this opportunity to wish all members of our community a very happy and a safe Christmas and New Year. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you back. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah. Don't forget to take a chocolate. There's some in the foyer. Yeah. Sandy put them there especially, didn't you? Yep. The recommendation is that the meeting now be closed to the public at 6:43. Pursuant to Regulation 15 of the Meeting Procedures Regulations, to discuss the following matters: confirmation of minutes, general reports, closed council, urgent matters.
And, personnel.
Yep. Personnel matter. Do I have a councillor to move a motion to go into closed? Councillor Thorpe. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cameron Smith. All those in favour? That's all councillors. I advise that in accordance with the Huon Valley Council's audio recording of council meeting policy, recording of the open session of the meeting ceased at